Sonia. Feedback from yesterday's live stream was you have to really talk into the microphone, okay? Because it's hard to hear on the live stream.
So there was a live stream. You mean I've been in public all this?
The world is watching. Just make sure the live stream yesterday didn't pick up a lot of the voices. You have to talk really into the microphone. Okay.
Good morning. Is this on? Are we good? Good morning, everyone. If we can have your attention, please. Good morning. I'm Greg Smith of the Social Studies Department here at Hastings High School. On stage with me are Student Union Vice President Eric Galib, Senior Class President Sonia Lasser. They'll be moderating our discussion today. They culled questions, hundreds of questions from the student body. I have the great privilege and honor of introducing someone who needs no introduction at all. Please join me in welcoming Minnijean Brown-Trickey to Hastings High School.
Ready. Okay.
Yeah, well, thank you again. It really is an honor and a privilege to have you here. And if you're ready, we'll just start off.
Okay.
All right. So to begin, what had your schooling experience been like before your time at Central High School in Little Rock?
Okay. The schooling experience in Little Rock was Central High School was built at great expense, named the most beautiful high school in America. Amazing. If you get a chance, look it up. It had a stadium, gym. It was outfitted with every possible resource that was a school. Dunbar High School was for colored, and that's the word that they used. And the city people didn't have enough money to finish it, so the black community raised the money to finish the school. The city fathers also wanted it to be a school where they trained people to be housekeepers and gardeners and servants of a kind. And the black community said, absolutely not, we'll have an academic school. It was smaller than Central and did not have a gym and had, of course, you have different libraries and, well, that's the way we do it in the United States. We have the good schools for white kids and the bad schools for black kids. So it was just a typical American scenario. But there was something interesting that I found out after I went to Central. White teachers could go for 1 year after high school and they could be certified. Black teachers had the regular bachelor's degree, and because of this is way too complicated, but it's a big question. Because they didn't allow black teachers to go to graduate school in Arkansas, they would send them out to get graduate degrees in northern cities. So my teachers, the black teachers, had much more education than my white teachers at Central. We didn't have the facilities because that's how we do it.
Yeah. And so then what prompted the switch?
I mean, my goodness, it was there, okay? You got that? Have you ever thought of something because it's there? And after the Supreme Court decision, I was like 13, who cares? Who bothers with Supreme Court decisions when you're 13? But at the same time, I thought that it meant that we would all just go to school together. And one of the people who turned out to be one of Little Rock 9 lived across the street from a white school. And I thought, oh, so Jeff can go to the school across the street from his house. This is called naivete, which I was very, and I admit it. But something happened between the Brown decision and my signing up to go to Central, and that was the lynching of Emmett Till, who was a 14-year-old boy who was brutally tortured and killed in Mississippi. and he was exactly 1 month older than I was at the time. He was 14 and I was to be 14 in a month. And somehow I thought, maybe if I can do something to interact with people, maybe this kind of thing won't happen. And Arkansas is right next to Mississippi, so I felt the danger. I'm sorry, I can't help it. It's a good question. It's deep, and that's how I do it, because you can handle it, okay?
Oh, by all means, yeah.
Okay.
Take the questions wherever you want to go. We're here to hear your story.
Okay.
So we know that there were National Guard members escorting you to the school.
No, let's
not.
straighten that out real quick. It's not about you, it's about the way the story gets told. The Arkansas National Guard were placed in front of the school to prevent us from going to school. And that's kind of, I don't trust American history because most of the time it's kind of airy-fairy and it's not really deep. And so this is reasonable, this is what is kind of put out there. So the Arkansas National Guard were there to stop us. It was after 3 weeks that President Eisenhower sent the 101st Airborne to escort us into class because, and I'm going to assume where your question was going, the pictures, there was mob violence, they were beating up people, black reporters, and it was going around the world. So I know a couple of Eisenhower scholars. One says it was because he was interested in desegregation, and the other says it was because of the Cold War. So we don't really know. I just am glad he did, though, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Could you talk a little bit about your experiences at Central High and what led to you coming here to New York?
So the end to that story is that I got expelled from Central, and my daughter has made T-shirts because I've expressed that I got expelled from Central because I was tall, beautiful, and proud. And when you are encountering people who think you're inferior and you don't know your inferiority, it makes them very mad. So I was really brutalized. I was maybe the target of a lot of the terror. And so that's how I ended up in Hastings, because I got expelled and Dr. Clark came to our house and said, I'm on the board of this private progressive school. She can come there and she can live in our house as our child. And so that's how I ended up in Hastings, because they offered me this amazing opportunity to, yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then when you were coming to Hastings, what were your expectations coming from Little Rock?
I didn't have any. I mean, the first day of September 3rd, any expectations or ideas or thoughts or wishes that I might have had were dashed on that day. We keep saying in this country, oh, mob violence is such a surprise. No, I can tell you, I've experienced it directly. And so I couldn't have any expectations because all my hope was gone. So I thought, this will be interesting. I've never been out of Arkansas. I've never flown. I've never been on a plane. Whoa, whatever. Let's go. I don't care. Let's see, okay? And that was kind of my attitude. And that's an attitude that I keep. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's do this and see what happens. So that was what it was like. I didn't know what it was going to be like.
Yeah. And can you talk about some of your relationship with the Clarks and maybe some of your experiences here in Hastings?
their daughter, I was in the bedroom with their daughter, Kate. We shared a bedroom. And her brother, Hilton. So for that first end of year, 1958, I think, I can't remember. It's been so long, it was practically the Middle Ages. Do you think I can remember back that far? So it was kind of like I joined the family. Just joined the family. Kate's best friend, I interacted with her. Then Kate went to college, and Hilton went to Kent to a prep school. So I was the only child, which was interesting. I mean, I hadn't ever been an only child, but in terms of activities in Hastings, I didn't have very many. I had a regular babysitting job here. So that was the extent of my Hastings moving around, because we got in the car in the morning, drove to the city, and drove back, and my school friends were in the city.
Was there ever any discussion about you attending school here?
No.
At Hastings? Okay.
No, I mean, it was specifically that I needed to be in a very, New Lincoln School. I have to explain. I think New Lincoln School was a kind of a protective place, because the students were from very wealthy families, some from very famous families, and so it was a cocoon of safety. So I think that might have been, I don't think they thought I could handle coming into a regular sort of high school. That thing really, it really changes a person. I think Elizabeth Eckford, the one girl, has post-traumatic stress, and she exhibits it. She can't be in a place where there's noise, so we were all traumatized. So I don't think they thought I would do well in a situation of a big school. I've never said this before, but I'm just thinking about it like that.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. What was life like socially here in Hastings? What activities?
Kate had friends from another small town around here, another village, and I mean, I know it's hard for anybody to believe that as a black child in Arkansas, I couldn't go bowling, okay, because that was for whites only. So what I saw was I could do things that I hadn't been able to do in Arkansas. Bowling, whatever, right? Like, does anybody even still bowl? I don't know. But it was something new to me. So it was so Kate had friends who came from another area, and we went to different places. And the Clarks had a Friday tradition of eating out, and so those were the social activities that I had. Most of my and I was in the city. I was volunteering to raise money for March on Washington by students. So I was just busy doing other things and not so many things in Hastings.
Absolutely. And rumor has it that you went to the prom here at Hastings. Is that true?
I think Kate might have gone to the prom. I didn't go. I wish I had, but it would have been fun, I think. I think that might have been Kate. I didn't go to the prom. I really, they were protecting me as well. It wasn't as dangerous to be a person then as it is now, walking on the street or in your school or wherever we like to murder people. But I think they felt a real strong protection. So I was cocooned in the house and at the school.
And you started to get into this a little bit, but your time in Hastings came right at the height of the civil rights movement. And so after Little Rock and that time, what did you see as your role and then in college and beyond?
Well, it's called forage. You can't not be an activist after that. I mean, it's you don't have a choice. I mean, there's so much to do, so many places to be active in our lives. I can't imagine not being an activist. The way I describe it is as a life sentence. So my personal, I'm an environmentalist, so I've been arrested for environmental activism. I've done like sort of anti-segregation, U.S. apartheid kinds of, been arrested. I got a job for the state of Illinois, and the boss called me and he says, "I'm sorry, we're going to have to fire you. You have a record." I said, "Oh yeah, okay." I didn't get fired, but I did have a record, because for most of the things that a normal citizen would want to do, you could get arrested for. So I have a record, and I have a record for sitting in, and I have a record for saving old growth forests. So I have a record in 2 countries. I'm a criminal in both the U.S. and Canada.
We read that in an interview for years after, we read in an interview that for years you hid your role as a member of the Little Rock Nine, even from your family. Could you talk a little bit about why you felt the need to do that?
You guys really did do some research, okay? Woohoo, love it. Okay. So my reason for not being able to talk about it was the nation had not admitted it, okay? It was one of those things that was just kind of in the background. Arkansas didn't want to talk about it. The U.S. didn't want to talk about it. And it was really with the release of a documentary series called Eyes on the Prize that the actual pictures of it were there. And so I could talk to my kids because I had proof. And the other thing I think is, I think the expression is one-trick pony. I didn't really want to rely on Little Rock as the only thing I ever did in my life. So I had to establish myself as an activist in different ways without that. Yeah, so my daughter's here, and she kind of learned much earlier, but my oldest daughter, I didn't tell her about it until she was about 16. And the other thing is, I didn't really want them to know how cruel people could be, and I didn't want to start their lives thinking that things were horrible. So I didn't really, I had to wait and try to figure it out myself, how to think about it and how to describe it. You guys are good, okay?
Your answers are what's good. So when you did reconnect, at least outwardly, with that identity as a member of the Little Rock Nine, how did that shape your work from that point onwards?
Well, I was working, doing anti-racism, all kinds of activism and crazy things, working across sectors. And I was in a group of women. We did anti-racism training, and we were Botswanan, Uruguayan, German, and me. I this kind of American hybrid person of Canadian and American. And so Oprah was going to have a show with me in it, and I had a party before I knew the Oprah show was coming, and I said, I have to tell you who I am. And I did. Which is weird, I know. Is it weird or what? I mean, it's so weird I'm feeling really weepy about it, but I had already established myself as a kick-ass activist without that attached to my life, okay?
And now, what do you feel like your role is as an educator and a citizen in a changing world?
Are you kidding me? What can I possibly? First of all, I don't know the word bored, because if I did, then I would, whatever. I don't know what old people do. Can't knit, so hey. First, I actually teach nonviolence to young people, and that's scary. I mean, what else can a crazy person do? And I just came back from Youngstown, Ohio. Last week, a group of high school students created Nonviolence Week in Ohio. They spoke to the governor who did and it's been a 10-year project. And so I go every year to Nonviolence Week in Youngstown. I have worked on a program called Soldier into the Past for 22 years, where, God, you asked me, I'm going to list it. Oh my God, it's too long. But anyway, I'll try to do the highlights. It's a 10-day interactive history experience where we take young people to selected sites, civil rights sites, and meet with the actual people. But the problem is we're all old, and in those 22 years, 9 of those people have passed away. So we're having to talk to their kids or whatever, or get new people. So there's an urgency that I feel that these are all important stories about, you know, in Arkansas. Oh my goodness, I hope this doesn't appear on the front pages of something. But in Arkansas, they were saying that teaching about Black aspects of history was indoctrination. So we've taken like 12,000 kids, and every civil rights person we've ever encountered talks about peace and nonviolence and is compassionate, and we don't make anybody feel guilty. If we do anything, I hope we energize people to take control of some of these untenable situations that are making me mad every day. So if you feel guilty, that's your problem, not mine, okay? So in some places in this country, having this conversation is illegal. 44 states have started legislation to stop talking about this story and stories like this. What I call it, profound intentional ignorance. They want you to be as stupid, as dumb as you can, so some demagogue can convince you to be crazy and violent, just like those people in Little Rock who were spewing all that hate and violence. So don't let them do it, okay? Woohoo. That's what I do. That's what I do.
And in terms of current events with the Supreme Court getting rid of affirmative action, what do you think about that?
Waste. Anyway, okay, well, let me just say this. I'm sorry, we're a docile group of people because there's stuff that's happened that we should have all been in the streets, okay? And we were not. And we are not. So they'll just keep making decisions that contradict all your freedoms. It's not about us, it's about all of us. So if you don't do anything, if you don't stand up, if you don't say anything, you get what you deserve, okay? So in Arkansas, the person who was running against Sarah Huckabee Sanders was an astrophysicist who had a PhD in astrophysics whatever, however you say it. Masters in city planning, blah, blah. His wife was a pediatrician. They were amazing citizens. Arkansas put in Sarah Sanders for governor. That's what I say. You get what you deserve, okay? So she's doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Other people are doing all kinds of crazy stuff in all our lives, and we're letting them do it, okay? That's my thing. I try not to let people do things that hurt us. So they closed off affirmative action. The primary beneficiaries of affirmative action, white women. So that's the kind of workplace affirmative action. The largest number of students in the Ivy Leagues are legacy. The second largest group is Asians, at say Harvard, at 26%. At the sort of bottom, both Latino and blacks are about 12%. So I'm thinking that universities have more brains than to allow their colleges to become bland and without diversity and excitement. So I'm not particularly worried. I think that was done, most of the Supreme Court decisions have been in the interest of a particular group. And if we let them do it, or if we, then we get it. We get what we deserve.
All right, and so we're almost out of time, but here you are, 65 years after you first stepped foot in Hastings, here to celebrate and honor Dr. Mamie Clark and Dr. Kenneth Clark. So what would you want Hastings students and everyone else who's watching here to take away from their legacy?
Oh, good question. Okay, so I have a song that says, ordinary people can do extraordinary things, and that's about all of us, right? If I were to talk about the Clarks, I would say they were ordinary people who did extraordinary things. Some of their work was cutting edge, I think. And you're probably not going to read it now, but later in your life in university, you'll see that their work was scholarly and important. So that's that part. But really, Dr. Mamie really liked gardening, and one time, I think it was Mother's Day, I was in the city and I brought her a bouquet of tulips because I forgot that she had this amazing tulip garden right outside her house, right? So they were ordinary people who did extraordinary things. The work that they developed was part of the social science that influenced two court decisions. One was in California called Mendez v. Westminster, and the other was the Brown v. Board Supreme Court decision. So let me just kind of gonna veer away. Nobody paid any attention to the Brown decision, so why would we pay attention to any of the other Supreme Court decisions that have been made, right? What was the question? Oh, but I mean, they were members of this community. They were good citizens. They were scholars. And they were ordinary people. And that's in the final analysis. We're all ordinary, but we have the capacity to do extraordinary things.
Thank you. And we actually have one more question.
You can go all day. One of the things that happens is by the time we get wound up, some kind of annoying bell rings and everybody has to leave.
So many of us have seen the famous video clip from Oprah where some of the people who tormented you at Central High School apologize and you accept their apology. Was it hard to forgive them? And what was that experience like?
Well, the sort of thing that my daughter and I, who is there, we're writing a memoir, and we're doing it based on 2 generations. What is her experience and what is mine, and what is her experience being my child and what is all of that. And we're still working out things like, so I try to especially with kids, they always say, "Did you forgive him?" And what I want to say is, I forgot all about him, but he was thinking about me the whole time. So I couldn't carry his hatred. And so if I were to think of what is the process by which one deals with that kind of thing, is to not carry the weight. And whether it's forgiveness or not, I think I said, don't worry about it. I don't know what that meant. I just thought, okay. And the whole is kind of with kids, the concept of forgiving is kind of religious. And I want it to be more practical about how, when we are harmed, how we can't carry that harm ever. I mean, that if we do, we're burdened. So it's kind of like transform that harm into something else, into action. I mean, I know it's too complicated and I don't really, but what else? You know, the real story is he threw chili on me, but the sort of truth about history didn't say that I got soup thrown on me so many times that I had to have clothes at the school, right? So did I want to walk around my whole life feeling that? No. So if that's forgiveness, then I guess the forgiveness is for me to give myself to enough to let it go. So yeah, okay, so that was that process. And Oprah is a manipulator. She wanted everybody. She wanted the silent witnesses. Those are people who stand by and say nothing. She wanted the horrible ones, the terrorists. And she wanted the persistence of the human spirit. And so that's how let's arrange our lives in such a way that the choices we make are persistence of the human spirit, the people who are ordinary but can and will do extraordinary things, and the people who are peacemakers on every level of our existence.
Thank you.
I have one more thing. A friend of mine who's also a crazy activist sent me this. And it says, later that night, I held an atlas in my lap. I ran my fingers across the whole world, and I whispered, where does it hurt? It answered, everywhere, 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 everywhere. And that's by Warsan Shire.
Thank you. At this point of our program, I'd like to call up to the stage the Mayor of Hastings-on-Hudson, Miss Nikki Armacost.
Thank you so much, Greg. I'm going to come round next to you to say that we are absolutely thrilled to have you in our village. And you are an extraordinary person who's done extraordinary things, and so we have a proclamation for you. Proclamations are really very special things. They document normally a person's amazing life. I'm not going to read them all out because you know these details, but I'm going to read out the end, which is the sort of denouement of the proclamation. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in recognition of Minnijean Brown-Trickey's selfless dedication as an activist, teacher, and social worker, inspiring us all to be kinder, more inclusive, and just, I, Nicola Armacost, Mayor, do hereby proclaim October 13th, 2023 as Minnijean Brown-Trickey Day in the village of Hastings-on-Hudson, New York, and around the world. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow. Whew. Thank you. Thank you. This is so fun. Okay.
Thank you. And now I'd like to have Mr. A close out our program.
Hello, everyone. I'm just here to say thank you to everybody. Really, first and foremost, thank you, Hastings High School, for being who you are and really welcoming our guest here today and doing the research. As you can see, we are a wonderful community here. But I also want to thank, people sitting in the front here who made this possible, along with Greg Smith, the Historical Society. I see Eddie Crawford there. I see our former educator, Mr. Jernigan. He came down. Thank you, Ken. Our mayor. I'm going to forget names, but I think Jen Ito, Kaylin Chang, Jan Klauf, a whole bunch of people. But I want to thank them. I also want Hastings High School to give you a small little gift. So, Mina, if you come up.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Can I get out?
And finally, the biggest thank you to Miss Brown-Trickey and her daughter, Spirit, who's sitting in the front. Say hello, Spirit. For just giving us a 30-minute, I think, education that just bypasses any classroom experience can happen. It's a real education taught by someone who's lived it. And I'm sorry, Mr. Smith, the U.S. history teacher in the room.
Okay.
Miss Brown-Trickey called your class not really accurate, but it's okay. But thank you on behalf of the high school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, folks. How about at Hastings High School one more time? A thank you, Miss Brown-Trickey. Let's go, everybody up. Okay, everyone, it's lunchtime. We're going to do this in an orderly fashion. If we can possibly do that, we'll do one row at a time, starting from the back. Thank you, everybody.